In here, you can see the floor is almost done. I've put a little bracer here to make up the difference in space. I need to put another one over here. And this part of the floor, oh, and then I guess there's still this little corner to take care of. But other than that, the floor is insulated, framed, and ready to go. I got rid of that wire that was sticking out of that hole down there by cutting it. But when I cut it, it turns out that the wire was live and some sparks flew as I was cutting it with the X-Acto knife. So that's a little bit dangerous. And I'm taking the truck back to the mechanics once again on Monday to get some work done. And I'm going to take it to another mechanic who specializes in electrical, and he's going to figure out what it is that the previous owners did with the electrical system. The last thing that needs to be fixed is the leaf suspension, which is cracked right there. And they swore up and down that it was safe to drive as long as I was really careful, which I'm going to be, because I really wanted to take it home and work on it this weekend. Another thing is they replaced the steering column, and they gave the truck back to me, and I noticed it didn't have any power steering. And when I got home, I realized that they had forgotten to fill up the power steering fluid. Rookie mistake, I'm thinking. Just an oversight. I know that they're really overworked right now, so I'm not going to hold it against them. Hopefully I didn't ruin any of the parts of the power steering system though. Driving, I don't know, 7 or 8 kilometers without power steering fluid. I don't know how bad that is for the truck. Hopefully not too bad. We didn't get far until we realized that there was a problem. We've got this aluminum bracer running the length of both walls, and I can either do a cutout, like you can see I did on that board right there, or what I've decided to do is just add a piece of 9mm plywood to the back of both boards. There's one piece, and then the other piece will go right here, leaving the gap in the middle for that aluminum thing. I don't want to cut the gap out of the board here because it just weakens the board, and because it's a lot more work than cutting a bunch of thin strips of plywood, which is actually not all that difficult to do. Although, man, I wish I had a table saw. Plus, with a table saw, they would all be exactly the same width, which these are not. But they're good enough for government work. Measuring off 9 centimeters, because the guard on the table saw is 4 centimeters, which will give me a 5 centimeter wide cut. Here we are, kind of halfway through the process. I've got one set of the plywood over here, the other set is down here, and just one gets glued and then 2 screws right there and right there, and then come over here, use the wood glue. This is what they had, Stolyar Clay Express. Dries in 15 minutes. And I get basically the same thing as my blank here, this crudely chiseled piece of junk, but much neater and stronger. We had a good rain last night, but everything was covered. And today, our goal is to get up at least the vertical supports for the walls, and maybe the framing around this top compartment. But we'll see how much we can get done, because now the skies don't look all that promising. So we got the first of our vertical pillars in right here. I've doubled it up because it's the one closest to the door, and it's going to be supporting the door that we're going to eventually add on to the back. That one there in the center is a placeholder. It was just a tester. It's going to come down. I'm going to get rid of it. And there's some of the cross beams that are the same width as our insulation, to make insulation easier. 55 centimeters, because of course it couldn't be a number that was easy to divide into the length of all of our boards over here, which means that I can cut 3 of those things, and then there's still a good bit left over that's just waste. But here's my little makeshift outdoor workshop and everything that's going on in the van. Those are our 2 main projects right now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We got the first part of the floor installed, and one of the advantages of building in a box fan like this is that it's full of right angles. So it was much easier to cut out this floor. We didn't have to do like a cutout. I just measured the gap for the 2 wheel well there, and Bob's your uncle. And just like that, the second one is installed. Well, it's laying there anyway. I'm gonna have to put some nails in it now. So now I have one more section of floor left, but it's obviously gonna have to be split up between different pieces of plywood, because my plywood is 1250 by 2.5 meters, 1250 by 2500, and there is no way to fit that in here, or to make this out of one piece. So I have to figure out where I want the break to be. I can put it like this and it'll come up to, well, let me get my measuring tape and see where it comes up to. And that is why you don't wear sandals on the construction site. The floor is finished. We ended up getting 2 layers of plywood because the first plywood we picked was too thin and the floor was not completely stable. The first layer was 10 mil and the second layer was 8 mil. And we made sure we put the edges of the boards are in, like here, where the boards meet are in different places, and the floor is super stable. And over here on the side door, we did in the step. Well, mostly did in the step. Still got to do a little bit there. This was a full day's work. I've been out here since about 9 o'clock this morning, and it's now about 8:30 at night. We're taking the truck to the mechanics tomorrow, but not until about lunchtime, I think. So we should have time to do a little bit more work before we give it to the mechanics. I don't know if we're going to install the linoleum or not. That might be a big job. But there's other little things we can do. So, with that, signing off and see you next time.